On New Year's Eve 2020, Congressman Jamie Raskin lost his beloved son, Tommy. Tommy Raskin was just 25 years old, and in his short life, he accomplished a great deal. He was a graduate of Amherst College, an animal rights activist, and a law student at Harvard. But despite the accolades, Tommy Raskin could not overcome his battle with depression.
Tommy himself was a person who had very powerful public passions and commitments. And we all believed, Sarah and I were certainly convinced, that Tommy would not only would want, but did want his life to mean something in terms of public values. I mean, the note that he left us said, "Please forgive me my illness one today. Look after each other, the animals, and the global poor for me. All my love, Tommy."
It was the day after we buried her brother, our son Tommy, the saddest day of our lives.
Congressman Raskin's openness about his son Tommy's struggles has helped to destigmatize talking about mental health.
We don't want to lose anybody else. We want to make sure we're investing the resources of the country to deal with it. So one day there'll be a year where nobody loses their life because of depression.
You know, we were in profound grief, and we wanted to make sure that we don't lose anybody else. And so we thought we had the opportunity to talk about Tommy because he was such an incredible young man, and he was very successful academically, and he was creative artistically and musically and so on. But he suffered from depression, and that's not a shame or a stigma. It's a reality, and we've got to deal with it with everybody who's going through it.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been tough on the global psyche. Our lives are not necessarily structured around the possibility of experiencing great loss. When the pandemic began, Caring Matters transitioned its support groups to weekly Zoom meetings.
Guys, to say the name of the person that you lost, and we will light the candle inside your luminary, and we'll put it in the creek here and let it flow around the corner, okay?
And its programs for grieving children and families, including Camp Aaron and the Good Grief Club, were delivered online.
You know, this is why I also love Caring Matters, because it puts it front and center. I mean, ordinarily our workplaces, our jobs, you know, commerce, government, school, these institutions are not structured to deal with people's grief and people's mourning, which isn't to say that they're always cold or indifferent, because they're not, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, if you need to miss work tomorrow, that's fine, or if you want to take a couple of days off. But of course, that's not at the scale of human suffering and healing from something like this. So that's why it's great that you know, there are not-for-profit groups that fill in and say, you know, we're going to put this on a human time scale. You know, it takes people months and months sometimes to even talk about it, to be able to articulate their feelings, to be able to sort through everything that they're going through. I mean, these are, you know, wrenching losses that people suffer.
Councilmember Craig Rice is a member of the Caring Matters Board of Directors. He, too, has suffered very public losses with the 1993 murders of his Aunt Mildred and young cousin Trevor Horn, and in 2019, with the passing of his longtime mentor, Steve Goldstein.
I think that, again, surrounding yourself with people who've experienced it is incredibly powerful. And that's why organizations like Caring Matters and other nonprofits like the Congressman mentioned are incredibly important, because it makes you feel as though you're not alone.
Both the congressman and council member believe strongly that organizations like Caring Matters are key in guiding people through whatever journey awaits them, so that no one has to deal with their suffering in isolation.
We have to be strong in the sense that we know that there's nothing weak about grieving. There's nothing weak about being sad. There's nothing weak about showing your emotion. And especially in an office like we're in, especially for Congressman Raskin, who's at the forefront of the national media, to be able to show that grief is okay, that caring is okay, to cry is okay, to be sad is okay, is incredibly powerful, and it's uplifting to all the other folks who are experiencing grief in our community.
Craig says we can, at a certain point, learn to channel our grief in positive ways for other people. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, a trauma, I came to learn, comes from the Greek word for wound. It's like a wound that you carry with you, but at a certain point, the trauma can be turned into like a bridge to other people, to connect to other people. And because there are so many people who've experienced so many different kinds of trauma, it's in the human condition where all of us are going to be sufferers of grief and trauma, but all of us can also be people who help other people. So I would just say to people going through it, that there are a lot of people who are rooting for you. There are a lot of people who want to connect with you. There are groups here that can help you, and we need you.